Down in a murder trial in Council Bluffs, Dontre Hudson is guilty of first-degree murder and guilty of robbery. There he is. He was on trial for the murder of Tucker Dauberstein. That happened back in January of 2023. Hudson was one of 7 people arrested in connection with the crime. Trevor Carmen pleaded guilty to second-degree murder in May of last year. He's there on your screen as well. He was sentenced to 50 years in prison.